Major League Baseball has it exactly the way they wanted it. Still a lot to be determined on Sunday, Major League Baseball's final day of the regular season. Plus, the two Ohio teams, well, one is in and the other could be in as well on Sunday. MLB Game Night, every game, every night, and we are underway.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Running and ready to have a whole lot of fun on this Saturday into Sunday morning. We get ready for the final day of the Major League Baseball regular season MLB Game Night presented by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your first $5 bet wins, you're going to receive $300 in bonus bets across the FanDuel app. Download the FanDuel app today. He is Lindsay Crosby, host of the Locked On Braves postcast. You can follow Lindsay on the X at Crosby Baseball. I'm Steve Lenox, host of the Locked On Red Sox postcast. You can follow me on the X at Lenox on baseball. Lindsay, Guardians and Tigers both clinch playoff berths on Saturday. They will determine the division winner on Sunday, just like the Blue Jays and the Yankees in the AL Eastern Division. Cal Raleigh is stuck on 60 home runs, and the Reds, believe it or not, control their own destiny when they play Game 162 on Sunday in Milwaukee. Lindsay, we're going to start with the Rangers and Guardians, and we're going to open up with our first recap coming from Justin Latta from Locked On Guardians. Justin was actually at the Yard in Cleveland Saturday night. Justin, just like a sold-out crowd in Cleveland, witnessed what we can call an unusual finish.
Hit by pitch! The Guardians are back in the playoffs! They couldn't score all night. They left a runner on third. Jonathan Rodriguez seemed like a terrible idea. Hitting fourth, he had a two-run homer in the first inning. Cantula was good. The bullpen was great. Just enough at the end. This is exactly how this team is always going to make the playoffs. Something ridiculous like a walk-off hit by pitch. Now the Guardians should not pitch Gavin Williams on Sunday. Let him rest. Put him on Game 1 on Tuesday in the AL wildcard. But the Guardians have made the improbable comeback to come back from 15 and a half out to basically dead in the water. They're back in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. We'll be back on Locked On Guardians. Tune in.
We'll get into how it unfolded, but watching Justin there, I feel like we just watched a clip from Major League 4. Or 5, or 5.5. We've been on the ride with Justin, and it happens. Hey, we said last weekend, I think, this could end in crushing fashion. They're in.
They're in. I mean, and that's all you can ask for. Like, that's the only, just get in. Just get in, because anything can happen in the postseason. And it's wild. Like, we're going to get to that. But it's wild that the Tigers are also in, because we thought this was a generational collapse by the Tigers. Instead, it's the Houston Astros not being in for the first time in what feels like 30 years.
Yeah.
The inevitable Houston Astros not in. But I'm happy for Justin. I'm happy for Guardians fans. And I'm really going to enjoy the next episode of Locked On Guardians.
3-2 the final.
Yeah.
Guardians, remember last year they lost in the American League Championship Series to the Yankees. But the Guardians are now in the postseason for the second straight year under Stephen Vogt, the 7th time in the last 10 seasons under Tito and his protege, I think you could say, in Stephen Vogt. Bottom of the 9th inning, Robert Garcia on the mound for the Rangers. 2 outs, nobody on. A walk, a single, an intentional walk, and the hit by pitch. C.J. Kayfus drilled with the bases loaded, game-winning run scores, and that was it. Guardians can clinch the AL Central Division title all by themselves with a victory in the finale against the Rangers on Sunday, because they do have the tiebreak against the Tigers, who we're going to get into in just a moment here.
Yeah, and this is one of those. He was right. It's kind of improbable. My first thought is one of the big things in that postseason, in that ALCS last year, was the bullpen was shot. They were exhausted from all the work they did in the regular season. Well, they had to cover for losing multiple relievers to suspension this year. So are they going to be better this year than they were last year? And that's the big question for me, but that's a question for next week.
So Cleveland in. Detroit also in. Tigers a 2-1 victory against the Red Sox at Fenway on Saturday. Red Sox celebrated a playoff berth on Friday night with a walk-off win. Tigers do the same. They don't walk off, but they celebrate a playoff berth. Again, the AL Central Division title up for grabs on the final day of the regular season Sunday. Jahmai Jones put the Tigers in front, 2-out, 2-run single off Connolly early in the 5th inning. Early walk the number 9 hitter, Parker Meadows, on 4 straight pitches to load up the bases. Then Jones came through. He had entered that inning, having retired 13 in a row. 4 Detroit relievers combining for 4 2/3 scoreless. Will Vest, 1-2-3, 9th inning for the save, his 23rd. I danced around on the Red Sox, Locked On Red Sox postcast. Hey, we know they partied late into the night Friday into Saturday morning.
It's the hangover.
Finally someone said it. Steve, there are a lot of guys who weren't in the lineup who were still hungover, and there were some guys in the lineup who were definitely hungover. Family show, yes, they celebrated with the bubbly and a lot of other intoxicating beverages. But the Tigers do win this one. And now it could be Detroit hosting, possibly, depends on how things play out. But the Tigers could host the Red Sox in the best 2 out of 3 wild card round starting Tuesday in Detroit. Tarek Skubal's not going to start Sunday. And we're going to get into Kevin Gausman and the Blue Jays here in just a few minutes. But Chris Paddock will get the start in the finale. Guardians, Tigers, both going for the division title.
This was the best possible outcome for the Tigers that involved them still making the postseason, obviously, because if they had to wait until Sunday, they'd have had to throw Skubal, and then they wouldn't have had him for the wild card series. So the Astros punching air at the Red Sox right now for the hangover lineup. Tigers thanking them for the hangover lineup. The Tigers may have sent some stuff over to that clubhouse on Friday night. Who knows? Just to try to help make this happen. But Detroit now, and the bullpen was great in this one, 4 2/3. So they're now primed to they might advance out of the wild card round no matter who they face, simply because they only have to win 2 games and they get Skubal from one of them.
It's Skubal, Crochet. I'd sign up for that in game 1 Tuesday in Detroit if it's the Red Sox and the Tigers. Let's move on because the AL Eastern Division also up for grabs for the Yankees and Blue Jays on Sunday as well. Jay Berman, host of the Locked On Yankees postcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, is going to give us the details here. Rookie Cam Schlittler was on the mound. Yankees continuing their series in the Bronx Saturday against the Orioles. A win, and the Yankees would clinch the series and going up 2-0. Here's Jay Berman.
Coming down to the wire. In fact, it's coming down to the last day of the regular season. Yanks beat the Orioles on Saturday 6-1. 3 solo home runs for the Bombers, Judge, Stanton, and Ryan McMahon, all in support of Cam Schlittler, who was just awesome. 7 scoreless, 2 hits, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. He finishes the season with a sub-3 ERA, 2.96. Now, if the wild card round for the Yankees is where it's at, that'll begin on Tuesday in New York. If the Yankees capture the division on the final day, they'll begin that divisional round series next Saturday. Again, the Yankees beat the Orioles 6-1. No matter what happens, Sunday will be for the division.
Who needs it more? And we'll get into the Blue Jays and the Rays in just a moment. But who needs the division title and the wild card bye, Yankees or Blue Jays?
From a pitching perspective, and they're throwing Kevin Gausman on Sunday, I think it's the Blue Jays. From an offensive perspective, it's the Yankees. You need as much rest as you can get for Stanton. Judge obviously is still kind of not 100%. Jazz Chisholm left this game after a hit by pitch. X-rays on his arm were negative. But from a pitching perspective, Toronto needs the break. From an offensive perspective, it feels like the Yankees probably want a couple days off just to rest some guys up, get everybody healthy.
Aaron Judge, 2-out solo home run for the Yankees Saturday. That in the first inning, number 53 on the season. 20th home run for Judge in the first inning this year. You had it 58 going into Saturday as they both homered, Stanton and Judge, in Friday's game. That was 58. Added to it a little bit, now 59 times that they both homered in the same game. It usually results in a win, 52-7 when Stanton and Judge both go yard.
What a stat. 52-7 when those two guys homer. Well, I think part of it too is so many of Judge's homers are in the first inning, so it's early runs, and typically that's not always the only run they score, but I do feel like just that has an effect on pitchers. Like getting those early runs helps them be a little more confident in their stuff, a little more attacking, and things work out. So definitely good there for them.
And speaking of early runs, Jays 3 in the second in Toronto against the Rays on Saturday, beat the Rays 5-1, go up 2-0 in that series. Jays have now won 3 in a row after dropping 6 of 7. 1 win away. If they win on Sunday, they capture the AL Eastern Division title. It would be their first since 2015.
And the big deal here is the winner of the AL East has, I believe it's the number 1 seed in home field all the way through the postseason. So it's not like Cleveland, Detroit, where neither team really cares that much because they're both going to play on Tuesday anyway. This is something, if you win, you have home field through the ALCS. So it makes sense that they're both going for this. And again, throwing Kevin Gausman's a big deal. But Trey Savage, I thought looked great. 5 innings, 5 hits, only walked 2, struck out 5, no runs allowed. And then I still don't know who's going to win this division. I mean, the default's Toronto because the tiebreaker, but you just don't know.
It's pretty simple for the Cincinnati Reds on Sunday. Win, and Tito's got Cincy into the postseason. We'll have the details next. It's MLB Game Night.
Fellas, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long. Because this isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula. So you can both get hard and go the distance. And the effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is simple and 100% online. You connect with a board-certified doctor, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. So if you're ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom, head to Rougiette.com. That's Rougiet.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's Rougiet.com, Rougiet.com. Promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know we sent you.
Game night, every game, every night. Lindsay and Brian McKeon will have the final wrap-up of the regular season Sunday after all the action is over. Games at 3:05, 3:10, 3:15, or 3:20 start times on Sunday. And again, Brian and Lindsay are going to have you covered. Then we're going right back at it. John Frisch, J.D. Hafron begin our postseason coverage on Tuesday. And Lindsay and I will be in the postseason for the first time, MLB Game Night. On Thursdays, we'll be talking about at least one, I would imagine, maybe as many as 4 teams advancing to the AL division round. Lindsay, we continue Reds, Brewers to open up segment number 2. Reds took the field in Milwaukee on Saturday, looking to clinch the series against the Brewers, who are sort of struggling to the finish line right now. And I don't know if there's a team in baseball that wants the postseason to start as soon as possible. And we're going to hear from Chuck Freeman as well. He's going to address that. But first, we hear from Jeff, Locked on Reds.
The Cincinnati Reds ensure that they can take care of business on Sunday with a big-time win on Saturday night. And once again, it was all about the pitching. What's up? This is Jeff Carr from the Locked on Reds podcast. They got a huge inning in the third inning. They scored 6 runs, and they took advantage of a lot of miscues. Like the Brewers fielding had miscues. The Reds just won 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee. This is the first time they've done that since 2022. We were talking about the last time that the Reds won in Milwaukee, won a series in Milwaukee. Michael Papierski hit a home run, and Ross Detweiler got a save.
What a callback.
They're 1 win away from clinching their first postseason berth in a full season game since I've hosted this podcast. And I'm going to be a wreck tomorrow. Man, Terry Francona is going to take out all the stops. Game 162 is going to be magical. Hoping the Marlins can help us out a little bit too, make it even superfluous, but I'm just glad to be here.
Taking one day at a time, Jeff, and there's 1 day left.
Yeah. I mean, it's and they go against Freddie Peralta. Like, that's the hard part. I think I saw it was Brady Singer versus Freddie Peralta. The issue here, I guess, for Milwaukee is it's not going to be a full-length start from Peralta. You're not going to run him out there 110 pitches in his final tune-up before, this is just keeping him on schedule for the divisional round. But I expect the Reds to throw everything they have, and I love that MLB's changed the schedule now where they all play at the same time. The Marlins could help you out, but you won't know until the very end of your game. So you got to play to win this game, and it's going to be a great day of baseball tomorrow. I'm so hyped for this.
So we heard from Jeff again, 7-4 the final, and they've taken the first 2 games in Milwaukee. And again, simple. Reds win on Sunday, they're in.
Yep.
They don't need help from the Marlins if they take care of their own business. Now that would be a 3-game series sweep against the Brewers, who might wake up from their bit of a slumber here. But the Reds have won 3 in a row, 8 of 10. Sal Stewart, 2 hits, home run, 2 RBIs. And 2 costly errors by Milwaukee. 7 runs allowed by Milwaukee pitching, just 1 earned run. And Pat Murphy had some interesting comments after the game saying, hey, we've locked things up. And I think teams that have locked it up, like the Brewers, with this wild card round now a thing, they're trying to figure out. There's no magic formula, but they're trying to figure out how to get to the division round and how to stay intact as much as possible. He's tinkering right now. He's giving some guys time out of the lineup. Pitchers aren't going, like you said, with Peralta on Sunday again. He's not going to go deep into the game. But Pat Murphy's saying they're playing for something on the other side right now. He credited Terry Francona and the Reds. They're grinding. They've won the first 2 games of the series because they had to. Their backs were to the wall. Brewers aren't cruising right now, but the way it looks right now, it's like, wow, we're not finishing strong. We're gonna be one and done in the postseason. Is that accurate in your assessment? I think that's pretty straight on from the manager, and I also understand the fan standpoint as well.
It feels that way. I do think a lot of teams are still struggling with the concept of like how to approach the bye.
Yeah.
I know that Seattle and Philly are both inviting fans to the ballpark. Concession stands are open. They're having like squad games, just trying to replicate the atmosphere, keep guys in the competitiveness. But we've seen anecdotally these teams that have the buys, they win. They clinch so early in the season that they spend 2 weeks kind of coasting. And then they have 4 or 5 days off, and then they're flat when they get to the actual postseason, to the divisional round, and a bunch of them end up losing. So I'm curious to see what happens with Milwaukee. They feel like they've been too good of a team to let that happen. But this series has not been pretty. Like they have not looked like the same team. And so you got to figure out how to flip that switch back on. Maybe he tries to push some buttons to make it happen tomorrow.
Let's hear some more from Chuck Freeman. Does a great job. Chuck, host Locked On Brewers.
The Brewers are struggling to the finish line. But I got to tell you, I mean, the Brewers are going to have the number 1 seed. They've clinched the best record in all of Major League Baseball. They've never done that before. So I'm looking at the whole body of the work. I know Robert Gasser didn't do enough, I think, tonight to earn himself on the postseason roster. Miz in relief, he was all right. First time in relief. Brewers were a little lackadaisical defensively, we'll say, early in this game, allowing that big 6-run inning in the 3rd inning for the Reds, and helping the Reds get into the postseason, or at least giving them a shot at the Mets. But Brewers will try to avoid the sweep against a team that they have dominated against, and they have nothing to play for on Sunday. And the Brewers will play again a week from tonight in their first playoff game right back here at home. All right, we'll see you a little bit later on Sunday night, the next edition of Locked On Brewers. We got a lot to cover.
Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers. One of the pitchers, Mizorowski, out of the bullpen. 2 1/3, 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, walked 3. That's a tough number, especially if they're going to use him in relief. You do not want to be walking batters come playoff time coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah, it feels like the postseason, these teams are a little bit better at cashing in those free base runners. And especially if your defense is going to be this messy. Obviously, you got to clean that up. And they've been good defensively all year. So part of me just hopes that, hey, everybody can lock in when October gets here. But it's also a very young roster that's not really been there before other than a couple guys.
The Mets dropped the opener against the Marlins on Friday in Miami. Mets came back on Saturday looking to even up the series a game apiece against the Marlins. With that, we welcome in Chris Schubert, Locked On Mets postcast host.
Me too. All comes down to this for the New York Mets, and it matters thanks to Clay Holmes, delivering an absolute gem in game 161. A guy who was a reliever turned to starter, makes potentially the most important start of his career, the most important start of the Mets season, and delivers 6 scoreless. Just a gem for the New York Mets. Pete Alonso provides the early offense. That's enough. They add on some insurance runs late. It's a 5-0 win that leaves the Mets in a position. Still need some help, but game 162 will matter for them. And for the second straight season, the Mets, their season will come down to the last day. A battle-tested group, a lot of guys who have been here before. Can they come through one more time?
Mets need a win and the Reds loss. Simple as that on Sunday in order to avoid collapse, because the Tigers are in. If the Mets collapse and don't make it in, they're going to be a lot of talk, not only in New York, but across baseball about the Mets collapsing late stages of the regular season.
Shamanaya versus Edward Cabrera. I don't think the Mets do it. I don't think the Mets do it. And I don't know if they don't do it because the Reds win or if the Mets lose. But for some reason, I just don't think the Mets are going to do it. And it feels too improbable to tease two massive collapses and not get either one. The Tigers are in. They averted their collapse. They're not going to win the division. They might not win the division, but they're in the playoffs. But the Mets have been one of the worst teams in baseball in the second half because of the pitching. I can't believe that they all of a sudden are going to fix it. I just can't.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the Braves fan in me. It's just they're going to be out. The Reds are going to be in. Calling it now.
Yeah, I stuck the fork in them on Friday night because, again, I think the Reds, the Reds take care of business. And, yeah, it would be with a sweep in Milwaukee. And we'll tip our cap to them going in there and winning all three and just taking, they took control of it. And I don't think they give it up. Let's go Dodgers, Mariners, and then Padres, D-backs to close up segment number 2. I'll go Dodgers, Mariners. Lindsay, real quick. Dodgers clinch a series, win 5-3 against Seattle. Kike Hernandez breaking a 3-3 tie, 2-run double in the ninth inning. Cal Raleigh 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, still at 60 home runs. Julio Rodriguez, 2 stolen bases, now 30 on the season. Rodriguez, second career 30-30 season. 7th player this season going 30-30.
Diamondbacks at Padres. Padres won this one 5-1. They've won the first 2 games of the series. Tatis, who had a grand slam on Friday, he led off Saturday's game with a homer, his 25th. Xander Bogaerts hit one in the first, Elias Diaz in the second. They held Michael King short in this one, 2 2/3, 1 hit, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. They went ahead and pulled him. Yuki Matsui gave him some bulk out of the pen, and then they just went to that 3-headed monster out of the bullpen. 4-headed. Morejon, Miller, Estrada, Suarez, each had a scoreless inning, struck out a combined 8 guys. Padres already know they're going to be in Chicago versus the Cubs Tuesday through Thursday.
And we're going to open up segment number 3, Lindsay, with the Cubs and Cardinals on Saturday. Big injury news from Sam Olber, Locked On Cubs on the other side. This is MLB Game Night, every game, every night.
The NFL season's here. The MLB playoffs are right around the corner, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for all the action with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you'd like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game even more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just trying to find another way to have a rooting interest during the postseason. It's quick and it's easy. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
Game night, every game, every night. We open up segment number 3, Cubs at Wrigley on Saturday, continuing their series against the Cardinals. With that, we get the update and an injury update on the pitching side for the Cubs as well, as we say hello to Sam Olber, doing a great job all season long with Locked On Cubs.
Playoff baseball is returning to Wrigley Field. The Chicago Cubs win their 91st game of the season on Saturday and host the Wild Card Series against the San Diego Padres. I'm Sam Olber from the Locked On Cubs podcast. Unfortunately, that was not the biggest story of the day. The biggest story of the day was that Cubs young ace Cade Horton, as a lot of us feared, will not be able to pitch, it sounds like, in the Wild Card Series with a fractured rib. He might be available in the divisional if the Cubs can get there. That's the bad news. The good news is that Michael Busch, Seiya Suzuki, Pete Crow Armstrong all homered, with Busch homering twice, and it looks like some of the Cubs' big boppers are back. And we talked about that for about 3 months now. Can the April and May Cubs return? Well, it looks like the April and May Cubs are what's going to have to be this week for the Cubs to advance, because without Horton and, Shota struggling and Boyd a little bit, who knows? But what we do know is that, when Pete's hitting, when Bush is hitting, when Say is hitting, hopefully they can get Tucker going tomorrow. This is as dangerous of an offense as there is in baseball, but it's very streaky. It's very streaky. If I were Craig Counsell, I'd get all those guys besides Kyle Tucker off their feet tomorrow, let them finish on a high note, and be ready to go Tuesday to hopefully carry this team into Milwaukee.
Don't have a lot of time here, but Sam did give us the update on Horton, who's been terrific in the second half of the season. But I wonder, Cubs at home for all three against the Padres, do they try to play small ball, get a lead early? Because we know against that Padres bullpen, you touched on it at the end of segment number one, and that was the big it's not a two-headed monster. They got the lead in the sixth inning, and they can just dominate the rest of the way. Is it possible Craig Counsell plays small ball to get an early lead and try to keep that lead until the sixth, seventh inning, where you don't have to face every single guy out of that pen?
That's what I would try to do, is be as aggressive as you can early. Do whatever you have to do to get some runs on the board before San Diego can turn it over with a lead to that pin. But at the same time, this San Diego offense waking up, Tatis waking up, they can do the same thing. So
yeah,
it's the Cubs. If the Cubs are going to win that series, they definitely have to score early in these games just to help neutralize the Padres bullpen a bit.
Yeah, Fernando Tatis had a grand slam on Friday, and then he had the home run. His bat's as you touched on in the last segment, his bat is getting going as well. Let's continue third segment: Twins, Phillies in Philadelphia, and Mark Farzetta with the details on the Twins and Phillies from Citizens Bank Park. And the Phillies, well, a former top prospect in the Phillies organization, could you say got a little revenge?
This is why a lot of Phillies fans have trust issues with their team. Now, all of it really has been in the postseason, when all of a sudden a red-hot offense goes drastically quiet in the postseason, and here we are in the final 3 of the last 4 games of the regular season. You've seen the Phillies offense go eerily quiet. Now, for their last 17 with runners in scoring position over their last 3 games of the regular season. Now, in 2 of those 3 games, they have actually won those games, which has been great. An 11-run performance against the Marlins, and then pretty quiet after that, including getting it taken to by Mick Abel, former Phillies prospect, former Phillies big league pitcher, albeit brief. He strikes out 9 Phillies through 6 scoreless innings, allowing just 3 hits on the night in total, as the Phillies take a 5-0 loss to the Minnesota Twins Saturday night in game number 161 of the regular season.
In this house, we believe in revenge games and teams losing because they didn't hit with runners in scoring position. That's like the ethos of our show.
Yes. We like to point out the futility with runners in scoring position. That's how I like to think about it.
And that's where Philly is. And it feels like the years, like some of their early playoff exits, think about last year and stuff, have been because they just lost the ability, like the offense lost it in the postseason. So I think it's probably a little more concerning for Philly than it is for Milwaukee, because Philly's seen this script before. They've had the same issue of they won the division early and then they were flat in the postseason. Kind of makes you wonder, like, did they need the Mets to be better just to advance in the postseason? We'll see what happens.
White Sox Nationals continuing their series in D.C. on Saturday with a win. The White Sox could clinch the series victory against the Nationals. Todd Welter, Locked on White Sox, lets us know whether or not that happened for the White Sox.
Colson Montgomery fell a triple shy of hitting for the cycle, although his 3 hits were not enough to help the White Sox pick up a victory. You can thank the bullpen for blowing another lead in this series. Hello, I'm Todd Welter, host of Locked on White Sox, and the White Sox lose to the Nationals 6-5. Colson Montgomery has played in just 70 big league games, but he is just 1 homer away from tying Lenyn Sosa for the team lead in home runs, as Montgomery belted his 21st dinger in the 4th inning, and he knew it was a 2-run home run the moment the ball left his bat with a nice little spin move as he exited the batter's box. But as once again the bullpen melting down is a big reason the White Sox lost this one. Washington rallied back with 3 runs in the 7th, and I'll have more on Monday's episode of Locked on White Sox.
Todd Welter all season long has done a terrific job doing and covering the White Sox with Locked On White Sox. James Wood solo home run in the 7th. That put the Nationals up 5-4. Had an RBI single in the 8th inning to make it 6-4. And Nationals do even up the series with a 7-6 victory. Washington, 9 home runs over the first 2 games of the series. And they'll wrap up the regular season on Sunday. We can move on now. Pirates, Braves, and Strider and Bubba Chandler, and this one went to the Buccos. Lindsay?
Yeah, it was a 3-1. Atlanta didn't hit with runners in scoring position. I mean, it's the same conversation that it's been. Brian Snitker and Matt Olson both got ejected in the 7th inning. It's the first time Matt Olson has been ejected in his career. And it was because there was a pop-up. He hit a pop-up, and the catcher went to go get it and just ran into Olson. And then went around him and still got to the ball in time. But they said that Olson moved and blocked him and ruled him for obstruction. And Olson didn't believe it. He checked the video. He got thrown out for barking at the umpire between innings. So kind of a little messy there. But hopefully Charlie Morton making his final start with the Braves before he retires on Sunday with Chris Sale to follow him. So that'll be a fun little send-off for Braves fans.
We'll go a little back and forth here. Giants hold on in San Francisco, 4-3 victory against the Rockies. The story in this one, Justin Verlander giving up 2 earned runs on 2 solo home runs, struck out 7 over 6 innings. Verlander, the win, his 4th on the season. I don't know if you see him in the big leagues in 2026. Wistfully, I hope that is the case. The Rockies aren't going to lose 120, but if they lose on Sunday, they're going to finish with 119 losses on the year.
Astros eliminated from the postseason, but they beat the Angels 6-1. They hit 4 home runs in this one. Christian Walker had 2. Zach Cole had a 2-run shot. Jesus Sanchez had a 2-run shot. And Craig Kimbrell got a 1-2-3 ninth inning with 2 strikeouts. Joe Adell is at 98 RBI. He had an RBI double in the 6th. I want him to get 2 more tomorrow. And then the Astros pulled a bunch of guys. They pulled Altuve. They pulled Isaac Paredes, Carlos Correa, all out of this game. We'll see who plays in the final in the finale tomorrow.
Vinny Pasquantino and West Sacramento put the Royals up 3-0 with a 2-out 2-run double in the 5th inning. Pasquantino now 113 RBIs on the season. Carlos Estevez hit the leadoff batter in the bottom half of the 9th inning, got a couple of strikeouts and a flyout to end it against the next 3 batters. Estevez, his 17th consecutive save and 42nd on the season. Royals double up the Athletics 4-2. They'll wrap up the regular season between those 2 teams on Sunday. Lindsay, we usually do one final word here. We do have a couple of seconds. I want to tip our cap, and I know you want to do the same, to all the contributors of MLB Game Night with our Locked On hosts and our Locked On postcast hosts throughout. We had guys with almost perfect attendance. We had guys like Todd Welter and Gary, Locked On Pirates, who grinded all season long, knowing there were ups and downs, and we celebrated with them when they won and were on winning streaks, and we understood when they were in the doldrums of close to 100 losses for the Pirates and over 100 losses for the White Sox.
And we're going to keep going. This show will be every single night all the way through the World Series. So make sure you're subscribed to Locked On MLB Game Night, wherever you get your podcasts, and Locked On MLB on YouTube. Hit the notification bell because we'll be doing this every single day because because MLB Game Night is every single game, every single night.
Enjoy your Sunday, everyone. Lindsay and Brian McKeon have Game 162. They'll wrap up with our final regular season edition of MLB Game Night Sunday after all the action is complete.